Welcome to the Straight Red Card, and today Brett and I are going to take on so many issues, Brett. I feel like, maybe we might drown in them, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. We're just going to start off, since it was the talk of the town late last week, with Brad Friedel's commentary to the BBC, which he didn't really take back about Landon Donovan taking the easy way out, as he praised Glenn Dempsey for taking the hard way and coming to England, and in many ways, Friedel's right. It took a bigger pair in many ways for Dempsey to come to England, go to England, and play in the English Premier League, and that is a tougher route. But the question from the BBC was, why is Dempsey not getting as much credit at home as Donovan? And then Friedel's answer was, well, in many ways, Donovan's kind of taking the easy route to that fame because he's playing in the United States. It's easier to get attention, blah, 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 blah. And then, Friedel came back later after he heard about all the fuss in the United States about his comments and said, hey, I wasn't trying to say that, Landon Donovan wasn't a great player. I was just trying to say that your phone's ringing.
That will happen.
Yeah.
And we're going to turn that on silent now.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, I really just think that Friedel really didn't make that big of a boo-boo there. I just think it was, as it often happens, it was kind of taken out of context. Mm-hmm. But there is a reason that, and Brad Friedel should know this, that Donovan is more popular than Dempsey. And it's not just because Donovan's in the United States. Look at the last World Cup. That'll tell you why. Now, of course, Donovan's had some stinkers in prior World Cups. 2006 was not great, but 2002 was fantastic. And then 2010 was pretty fantastic as well. And who was the guy slotting the goal home when they needed a goal? That was Landon Donovan. Those are the reasons Landon Donovan's the most popular American player. It helps that he's playing in the United States. It helps that he plays for the LA Galaxy. But it's not just because he took the easy route.
No, I think the thing is that he's just been the face of U.S. soccer for so many years.
Forever, yeah.
It's not that Dempsey's getting less credit. It's just that everybody knows Donovan. The U.S. Media, not necessarily soccer media, because the soccer media does praise everybody who's playing. Yeah. But again, just like when the U.S. media thinks of English soccer, they think David Beckham.
Yeah.
It's just the face. I mean, it's just a big name. It's a big face. As far as Friedel's comments, I don't think he really said anything terrible. I thought, sometimes the truth hurts. Not saying that MLS is an easy route. I'm saying it compared to going to Europe and playing in Germany or playing in England, it is an easier route, especially playing just quality as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's also personality, too. When you say, Donovan's not the warmest guy ever. I mean, people have accused him of not having any sense of humor whatsoever, in fact. But he is, in fact, you saw him do that commercial in Spanish, the Mexican commercial where he's going over the border to buy, what was it?
Lottery?
Yeah, the lottery tickets. But, and Dempsey, he's just he's not a warm character in interviews. He's not a warm public figure. Now, that works against him as well.
Well, and Donovan went over to Europe a couple times. He's tried it. He knows what it is, and he wouldn't have signed another long-term contract with LA if he didn't know what he was doing for it. Some people just aren't ready for it. Aren't ready for it ever to really go there and be pushed that hard.
I think Donovan was ready, and that's where I just disagree with you. I just think,
as far as talent's concerned, I think he definitely is ready. But as far as mentally is ready, he's in MLS. He is a big fish. With U.S. soccer, he's a big fish. He goes abroad. If he, I just don't see it mentally being a thing. I see it mentally being an issue.
Well, I think that one of his former teammates at Everton made a good point when he said that really he just came over here to stay sharp for the World Cup. Mm-hmm. And that's the only reason he came over here. I don't know if that's true or not. I'd like to ask him about that. I would like somebody to ask him about that because he's not going to talk to me.
Well, I'm sure he'll say that he wants to be in Europe, and I'm not saying he doesn't want to be in Europe. it's just he's in a comfortable situation. He's still one of the top USA players. He's getting towards the end of his career. I mean, not like the end of his career.
Is slowing down. A handful
of years.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. He wouldn't have signed an extended long-term contract if he wanted to go abroad.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
He would have wrote out his contract like many MLS players do, since we don't trade players, and he would have gone abroad.
And plus, you can't
nothing against it.
No, I mean, and he loves where he lives. Mm-hmm. Not that he didn't enjoy his time in England. I'm sure he got his fair share of Liverpudlian tush while he was there. Rumors are.
Nice little scandal about it, too.
Yeah. But you know what? In the end, if you're Landon Donovan, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice in L.A. There are lots of beaches. The weather's warm. You have one of the biggest players in the world playing on your team that you used to hate. You know, I mean, all those things are big pluses, so you got to stay. So anyhow, I guess what I'm saying is, don't be too hard on Brad Friedel, even though he took the easy way out back in his mid-30s when he was still one of the top goalkeepers in the world, and bowed out of any more U.S. national team play. Ooh, that's actually what Brian Strauss said in his Sporting News article. I found that a little harsh, but it's true.
Well, like I said at the beginning of this, sometimes the truth hurts.
It does. It does. All right. Well, from something on to something a little less greasy. MLS transactions and the update. I guess the quick update here is we mentioned, and I mentioned specifically, I'm patting myself on the back, that the YP Lee signing was a real possibility. And, in fact, it happened as he signed with Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Chivas, big time, got, and we mentioned Arturo Alvarez is one of the guys that needed to be picked up, and he was. Robbie Russell.
A bit of a shocker that he was picked in the first round, though. Maybe Chivas just didn't want to take the chance of not getting him in the second round. But, they had to pick him up at the same contract that he had at Real Salt Lake. And I want to say that was borderline about $150,000 to $200,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good sum of money. But I don't believe he was picked up in the reentry. He was actually signed prior to.
But still, then he has to sign him for the same contract regardless.
Yeah, you're right.
Regardless, it's the same hit.
That's right. It's the rules. Then, even more surprising maybe was Robbie Russell, because doesn't Robbie Russell look like to you a player in the last couple seasons that has significantly slowed down year after year? And maybe it's just me, but he just looks lethargic. And that's why another RSL player that I guess DC picked him up. We'll see. I mean, if this is Olsen's idea of the future of DC United, I think he's more of a backup player. What do you think?
I see Olsen looking at him as more of a solid backup, a seasoned veteran to bring onto a squad that has a lot of young faces that are probably going to get a lot more, quite a few more young faces in the next this upcoming MLS draft.
Yeah.
I don't see him coming in as a starter. He might, but I don't see it happening.
He might, with as much as they've dismantled that team, unless they plan to go out and buy a lot of players, because you're going through the re-entry draft process here. Mm-hmm. It's not like there are a lot of teams, including DC United, except for maybe LA, making big moves to sign, old MLS players. But, maybe they're all passing because none of them want to deal with the round 1, round 2 rules. They'd rather just negotiate on the side after this whole dumb re-entry draft pick process is over.
I'm way too lazy to go back and look, but my guess is not many. I mean, my guess is there's not that many people picked up throughout the re-entry drafts, anyways.
Yeah, that's why I called it stupid. I just what's the point of this? Just start over again and let everybody renegotiate. There's a reason why a player like Pat Noonan shouldn't have... Well, we'll get into that. Shouldn't have been picked up by L.A. Because, you know what? I mean, really, his contract, whatever it was, should have been renegotiated. Unless it was already extremely low to begin with, which we don't know.
Well, it was in the second draft, so they get to the second round of the draft, so they get to renegotiate.
Yeah, they do. But aren't there some restrictions and some limitations to how low that can go?
In this number of seasons he has in MLS, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, Josue Martinez to Philadelphia from Saprissa. That's a signing, a big one, because the kid's 21 years old. He's played 66 games for Saprissa and scored 20 goals or 19 goals, something like that. That's a good young player. That's a good signing, I think, for
I have
Philly.
to agree. Can't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. And then you get to the stage 1 and 2 re-entry draft. And, you go down the list. Seattle did basically nothing. They signed Mark Birch. No big deal there. And then the Revs, the Revolution, continuing their plotting maneuver towards mediocrity, decided to sign Nate Jakwa from the Seattle Sounders and Clyde Sims from DC United, who may still have, some good potential left. So that one's not so bad. But the Nate Jakwa signing, I'm not sure what you do with Nate. But somebody had to take him, right?
Yeah, as much crap as Jakwa gets on a regular basis, I definitely think he's quite a offensive option as a bench warmer, or even just in depth in general. He's not going to be putting up
as a
12,
bench
15,
warmer. I like that.
He's not going to be putting up 12, 15, 20 goals a season. Any team, but he will. He's not a bad option to have off the bench.
He once was. I don't know what happened to the Nate Jakwa that used to play.
He's not the world's best player, but I still think he's definitely an option.
He had a lot of potential. I mean, when he went over to Austria, I thought, here's a kid, come back from that, probably learn some things. He'd been nothing but mediocre.
Half a season, wasn't he?
Doesn't matter. You're supposed to learn something from that and come back even better than you were before. He came back and he looked worse.
A lot of players that go abroad for a short stint and then come right back, a lot of them seem to falter a bit. You saw it with Cigares. You saw it with Pickens.
Blow to their egos or something, The
sad thing is that Pickens had a good Perkins. Perkins had a good
he played.
Stint abroad. Yeah, he had a good stint abroad.
Yeah.
And he came back and it was just like.
Yeah, but then last season he played better. So
yeah,
but you're right. When he came back, it's like almost I think a lot of people come back and they think, well, okay, now I got all this. I've learned so much. I played overseas. I'm going to come back. This is going to be easy. This MLS thing. Maybe that's part of it, or maybe it is, a little emotional deflation. But all right, you go down the list here. It's pass on this re-entry draft. So many teams do not want to be involved with this, don't care to be involved. But Chicago, I'll let you talk about them. They picked up Kelly Dubé from the New England mediocre England Revolution. Any comments on Kelly?
Well, we took one team's mediocre player and turned him into a scoring fiend this past season. Why not try another?
Yeah, that's going to happen a lot.
I don't think Dubé is going to get much playing time.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, I see him behind Baruch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he's depth. That's all it is.
If you had
and it's not the world's best depth, but it is some depth.
If you put an umlaut over the E on the end of his name and his name was Kelly Doobie, I'd say sign him. But otherwise, we'll pass. Then we move on to, and what do you think about this? Your boy, Baggio, who's Sittich, is going to be playing for the Colorado. Well, not playing. He'll probably be sitting and riding pine quite a bit for the Rapids.
Baggio had a decent year, not this past season, but the season before.
He should with a name like Baggio.
He sort of crapped out a little bit this season.
Yeah.
I definitely see him going over there. Probably not starting immediately, but he definitely will add pressure to the center midfield pairing there.
All right.
I mean, it's not getting any younger.
Yeah,
so
that's
he's
true.
He's not a bad player. He's just a little slow.
Yep.
And speed can be made up for in other aspects of the game. He just has to sharpen his tools.
And there's all those rumors that Lorenowitz is being, well, at least significantly sniffed around by the folks at Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
And God knows Bolton needs some help right now. Lorenowitz is certainly not going to replace the aforementioned American who is injured there.